All right, it is now 2 o'clock, so we will get started here with Together Tuesday. Thanks everyone for joining. Today we're going to have some nice people with us. My name's Kevin Vogel. I'll be your host here. Mike Doyle's on the phone today. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm good, Kevin.
Good. And Mike's going to be doing a demo of one of the products that we have. We'll absolutely go through that. And then Melissa, I saw Melissa is on. How you doing, Melissa?
Hey, Kevin, I'm doing well. How is everybody today?
Good, good. And is Alex on here? I didn't see Alex yet, but he will be sooner or later. So today we're going to be covering a couple things. One of them we actually have covered before, but we're going to go in a little bit more in depth and talk about sensitivity labels and safe links. These are ways for you to secure documents inside the Office 365 and even outside, because it works with third parties, even outside that environment. And then Mike Doyle is going to be walking through our Team Captain workflow, and he's actually going to do a full demo, show you exactly how it works. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, Teams is a great product, but it can get cluttered really quickly. Especially when you just let pretty much anybody be able to create any type of team with any type of governance or security around it. Team Captain Workflow will give you the ability to govern those areas of teams. And even though everyone can request a team, not everyone can create a team. And I think Mike will go through that pretty much in detail. So with that, let's get into security labels and safe links. And just to give a refresher of what we covered before, a sensitivity label is basically a stamp that you put on certain documents inside of your corporate environment, especially now with people working both inside and outside of the organization. Now with things like Teams, where you can have people from the outside collaborating with people from inside your corporation, it's really important that you give specific encryption and access to those things. So you can see that sensitivity labels, and they are specific to your organization and their business needs. They are absolutely customizable. You have to set them up. They don't come pre-configured or anything like that. There are no default ones that are already part of your organization. So you have to go in there and make sure that you create them and customize them. Personal, public, general, confidential, highly confidential. Those are all labels that you can put on them. They are clear text. And they use metadata. So this can work for emails, third-party apps, Word documents, PowerShells, things like that. And they are persistent. So no matter where these documents go, once you put these sensitivity labels on them, they follow them with the document. So it's really important, if you're looking for this type of security, this type of protection, to absolutely use sensitivity labels. So just give you an idea of what you can do with them. You can provide protection settings that include encryption and content markings, things like confidential or do not forward, things like that, where you can put them built right into the document. Obviously, you can protect all of your Office applications, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and all of those things. But you can even do it to third-party applications out there. Things like Salesforce and Dropbox and Box and PDFs and things like that you want to actually share outside of your corporate environment. You can even protect containers, things like, groups inside of Office 365. Obviously, groups go right with Teams. So if you want to do it inside Teams and different channels inside of Teams, you can do that. SharePoint sites. So for example, if you want to give access to a SharePoint site when people on your corporate network, but not give that to people when they're outside of your corporate network or not being able to access it with an account, you can do that with sensitivity labels. So really a great way to work with that. If you work with Power BI and you want to put labels on the data that you're actually displaying inside a Power BI template or dashboard, you can do that. This even now will move into Azure with Purview. So if you're doing things like SQL columns that you want to actually give sensitivity labels access to certain columns or blob storage, things like that. So sensitivity labels can go way across more than just a Word document or an email. You can extend these labels, like I said, to third-party applications using SDKs, and you can classify them as, like I said, confidential, no forwarding, things like that. So all of these things can be built in to sensitivity labels. Now, one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, what kind of licensing do I need to use sensitivity labels on? Well, first of all, you can see the applications up here, all the ones, and even like iPhones and Android tablets, and all of these are absolutely supported. But you do have to have certain level of licensing. So this feature does require Microsoft 365 subscription, and it's available for users and organizations that have set up, like I said, they don't come out of the box. You have to set these things up. You can apply these to files and emails, and I'll even show you how they're going to actually show up inside some of the documents. I tried to give you a little bit of heads up here. So the way the workflow that's going to happen here for sensitivity labels is, number one, your administration has to go into the Office 365 administration console. You got to go into security and sensitivity labels, and you have to create the sensitivity labels that you want to use.
Hey, Kevin, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the people are just seeing the Together Tuesdays intro shot. They're not seeing your screen.
Wow. So I've been through 8 slides and they're not seeing it. That's not good. So let me stop.
Yeah, got a message, two message here in the chat. So just wanted to alert you to that.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it. So I'll get back here and I'll share my screen and let me know if it's good now. Maybe.
Yep.
Okay, so we will go back here. By the way, we're going to be sending this presentation out, but basically what I said is on these slides that I have here. But the workflow that I wanted to talk to you about is right here. So like I said, you got to create those sensitivity labels. They have to be created by you. Like I said, there's no default ones in there. Then you have to publish them for users and groups inside of your environment. And you can have different sensitivity labels based around groups, based around users. You just have to go in and configure them. And like I said, those are in the Office 365 Administration Console under Security. Then your end users will be able to see these, and I'll show you how they'll be able to see them inside the different documents. So it'll work on emails and documents, and you'll see that they're available at the top, and it will classify the documents by using that label. And like I said, third-party applications, you can enforce those protections on email documents that are attached or documents that are, added to the email. So it's pretty simple, but you have to go in and configure them. So for instance, in email, and I just pulled this out of my email. So you can see up here, when you create an email up here at the top in the ribbon, you'll see that sensitivity is one of the options. So if I click on that, it will actually give me the ability to encrypt and do not forward is a sensitivity label that we have created. So if I wanted to send an email that is encrypted and cannot be forwarded, all I got to do is click on this button right here. So very, very easy to add it for the end users. Oh, sorry about that. I missed something here. So obviously, if it's not visible, that means that you guys haven't set it up. but you do need an Office 365 Enterprise E3, Office 365 Enterprise E5 license. Your administrator does have to configure these again, just like I said a couple of times here. So you can automatically apply sensitivity labels if you want. If you're an administrator, you can automatically label those files and emails that contain certain types of information. Social security numbers, credit cards, account numbers, sensitive information. And you can go in and set these up based around a format. So obviously, social security numbers, 3, then 2, then 4, credit card numbers with 4 groups of 4 and so on. So those things can be automatically done in there, and you can set them up, even customize them. I put a link down here as part of this presentation so that you could go in there and get more information about automatically applying sensitivity labels. Once those are applied, you'll be able to see if that label is currently applied to the document. And I gave you a couple of just quick little looks here. So in an Excel spreadsheet, you can see that the general label has actually been applied here. If you're looking at Outlook, Outlook will do it at the top of the email here. So you can actually see at the top of the email. So they're going to be in different places to be able to see if a sensitivity label is actually applied to that document. So pretty easy to find them. You just got to know where to look. What happens when I apply one? So you could see that encryption with information rights management, it could be applied to the file depending upon obviously what you have set up in there. In the header or footer, like I showed you before, you could see that they're in there. And you could also apply a watermark. So if you wanted to make this confidential or highly confidential and put a watermark behind the email or behind the document, you can absolutely do that with your sensitivity label. So all you have to do is set these up and configure these inside the Office 365 administration console. Again, I put down here another link down here at the bottom of the page so that, if you want more information, you want to walk through a tutorial. The nice thing about Microsoft, they do have a lot of information out there. You just got to know where to find it. That's why I try to put links in here to make it easy for you to find out where you need to go, which documents are relative to this topic. So makes it easy for you guys to find. All right, so in here, your administration can also have a policy that requires you to provide justification before changing a sensitivity policy from a higher to a lower sensitivity. So in here, you could see a pop-up box would come in here. You'd have to go in and say that, this label no longer applies, but you can go in and customize this justification alert so that it does more put in effect what your corporation wants. So all you got to do is, again, these are things that you can set up inside the console. So really, from a sensitivity label standpoint, it's not difficult. You do have to go in, like I said, and set them up. But once they're set up and once they're assigned to the people or groups or corporate environment that you want, they run on their own. So it really is almost like self-service once you set them up, once you get them configured the way that you want. So if we can help you there, please, this is, what we do. Any questions on sensitivity labels there, Melissa?
Yeah, I do see one that was in here from Jeffrey. He was asking if that's the same setting as encrypt.
Well, you can encrypt. That is one of the settings that you can use for sensitivity labels, is encrypting your email. But obviously, there's a lot more to that. Okay. All right. So let's talk about safelinks. So safelinks is a feature that's built into Defender for Office 365. So this provides scanning of URLs and different links to make sure in your email messages or in documentation like I'm doing here for instance, in PowerPoint, where you're sending these out, that these links have been scanned, that they're safe, that they're not used for phishing and so on. So safe links is a real good thing to implement inside your environment. So you could do it, like I said, inside of email messages to protect those. And again, all these blue underline, I left in all the documentation that I could find that was pertinent to this so that you could click on them and be able to do this. So safe links does not work in mail-enabled public folders. I wanted to make sure that that was highlighted in here. So it will work in email, but it won't work in public folders if you're, sending emails from a public folder. So just a little FYI on that. There's no default safe links policy. You have to go in again and create these, one or more of them. It's up to you. It will work in Teams also. So anything that you publish inside of a Teams environment, whether it's part of a document or whether it's a link that's in a chat or in a post that's inside any of the Teams, you can go in and do that. Again, I put in a link here that will give you exactly how to set it up here for safe links inside of Teams. You can also do it for applications, like I told you, if you want to do it, for instance, on PowerPoints or on Word documents where links are included. You can set those up also to make sure that these safe links don't have any phishing, are safe for your people to click on inside of your corporation. Pretty easy to do, but you do have to set it up. Again, it does not come by default. Again, I try to give you as many links here as humanly possible so that you can set up safe link policies in Microsoft Defender for Office 365. You can get the user report, so you get all the messages, and on third-party applications for phishing simulations, gives you all the information that you need here. So I hope this gives you just a little bit more information about, the things that are available in Office 365. Our job here at MessageOps is really to try to make sure that you get all the value you can out of your Microsoft investment. We know that you guys spend a lot of money on your Microsoft licensing. We want to make sure that you take advantage of all the things that are available to you. That's why we keep doing these things on Tuesday, to really educate and show you what's available so that you can start using them. And I'm sure that you guys work with Melissa and Alex all the time, asking questions, and they can always get a hold of people like myself or other technical people that can help you configure these things. So with that, let's talk a little bit about what Mike's going to be doing. So Mike, you want to go through these slides or you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, Kevin, you can talk about it and then I'll take over and do the demo.
Okay, great. So Teams governance, and like I said, this is something that, I've been lucky enough to work with some very, very large companies out there. In fact, one of them had 60,000 employees and they wanted to roll out Teams. And I said, great. So have you rolled it out yet? No, we haven't rolled it out yet. I said, great. So how many teams are created? They said, oh, none. We don't have any. Well, the problem was back a while ago, the Office updates came out, and believe it or not, pushed Teams application out with the Office Pro and actually gave them a Teams icon on their desktop. So I said, well, let's just take a look, make sure there aren't any there. And they had 2,200 teams that were already created by end users that IT didn't even know about. So as you can see, people can create these really quickly. They can create any type of teams. They can open them up to external and so on. If you haven't gone in and set up your Teams environment, set up governance, set up security, develop some templates that they can use to deploy Teams. So what we've done here at MessageOps is created a governance application for you. So it gives you one window for your Teams environment. It actually will, make sure that it controls that sprawl that's out there. And Mike will show you how you can go in and set this up. it simplifies the creation of a team with just the push of a button. You don't have to have IT or anyone create the teams anymore. You can easily identify teams by department if you want, by setting up a standard naming convention for your teams. Again, policies can be set up. You can know how many files are out there. We have a whole Teams application that you can use. I'm sure that you guys know about Teams, Captain. And you can make sure that your team owners are accountable, and automated policy-based external sharing, and those things can be actually reviewed by management. So great thing to do. Pre-built workflow that Mike's going to be showing you, which will simplify your request for a team. You can build it right into one of your channels. They can click on a button, fill out a form, and it really is one of the Microsoft forms that they fill out. Then it will actually submit it to whoever you want. It could be their manager of whoever's asking for the team. It could go to IT. It could go to wherever you want. That's something that you guys can set up. And then once it's approved, click of a button, you say, yep, approved. It will apply all those policies, templates, all the governance and security that you need in just a click of a button. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Mike. Let Mike go in and actually, show you how this thing works.
Thanks, Kevin. Just confirming, can you see my screen?
I can.
All right, perfect. So, just as Kevin mentioned, right? So this is an ability to, put some governance around Teams creation. And essentially what we wanted to do was make this as automated as possible. So it's very easy for both the IT and an end user perspective. And so essentially what you could do is so in this example here, if you come into Microsoft Teams, if you see up on the top middle section here, new team. Now this is all built on Microsoft Forms. So it's essentially a link, right? So you could do it right in Teams. If you prefer, let's say you guys, utilize SharePoint for requests, things like that, essentially wherever you could drop the link, you could put the request link in there for that. But basically, so for example, let's just say that we had it in Teams, and my name is Mike Doyle. I'm the new finance director of Sirius, and I wanted to request a new team. You could come in here and just click new team. And again, this is Microsoft Forms. So this is customizable. This could be one question. It could be 100 questions, however, you want to set it up. But essentially, the end user would come in, put in, that's the team name, let's say finance department. Team description, again, just for sake of example, let's put finance. Now, what's the business need or justification? Collaborate with my team. You drop the email in. And then, do you want this thing to be private or public? Let's say, I'm just want the finance folks on this, so I'll keep it as private. Do you want members to be able to create or edit Teams features? Again, up to you, the end user. Let's say, sure, I don't mind if someone tweaks the team. Do you want members to be able to edit or delete their messages? Let's say, no, we want to keep everything from a data retention perspective. And then what type of team is this? So for the sake of this example, we'll keep it as generic, but you are able to create templates. So let's say, there's an executive template, there's a frontline worker template, and basically that will, when the team is provisioned, it'll set up, pre-configured policy settings, things like that, just so, again, less effort on the IT side, less chances of, there's a mistake of not checking a box or something like that. So, me, Mike Doyle, the end user, I came in, took me all of about 30 seconds to fill this form out. I hit submit, and now I'm back to my day being productive. Now, what happens is when this is submitted, so this is all built on Power Automate, again, trying to automate this process for everybody. Now, IT, if you look up at the top left here, there's an IT approval team. Now, again, everything is built on Power Automate, right? So there could be 2 levels of permission. So let's say it goes to my boss first, they approve, then it goes to IT, or it can just go straight to IT. For the sake of this example, we have the IT approval team. They will get a notification that a new Teams request has come in. So this is going to show you the date, what's the team name, description, business justification. Okay, so we review this. Okay, Mike Doyle, the new finance director, wants a new finance department team. Sounds appropriate. I can reject this if it was out of a policy that you guys don't want the new team, or you can go ahead and approve it. You can send a quick note back, Mike approved. And then so IT, again, this takes all of about 10 seconds for you to review. Okay, this makes sense. I approve, sent a quick comment, hit submit. And then what's really neat is once this is approved, the team will automatically be created. So again, less work on the IT folks side. And then a message will be sent to Mike that says, okay, your team has been approved. So now I know that I can go in there now, start inviting folks from the organization, customizing my team, etc. And then if we go down to the teams, if you look down here up, I'm looking at the top left, you'll see under internal market, the finance department team was created. So again, from a governance, from a team sprawl perspective, because as Kevin mentioned, anytime a new team is created, a SharePoint site's created on the back end, there's other things that happen, which then creates, complexity and management implications on other areas outside of just teams. So again, this whole process takes, the end user very easy. You just fill out a couple questions. From an IT perspective, you're not having to manually create every team that's requested. And again, this is just a very automated, simple process on both the end user and IT side. So, Kevin, I don't know if you wanted me to show the actual team captain dashboard as well, but this is, that's pretty much, the workflow
Sure.
we've
Why don't you
created.
do that? And just so everyone knows, there is one additional license that you have to have for this Power Automate, and it only has to be for one person. It's a $15 Power Automate Pro license. Anyone can go in and create the form and approve. Just the person that's actually creating this in your environment needs that pro license. So just want to let you know that there is a minor cost from a licensing standpoint to be able to create that in your environment. We have the template, we install it for you and everything else, but there has to be a license in your environment for us to be able to do that. But anyone can request a team, and anyone can approve a team. They don't need that license. So just figured I'd let them know that, Mike.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great point, Kevin. I appreciate it. Did anyone have any questions in the audience about the process for the workflow?
Not seeing any messages or questions in the chat window there, Mike, so you can continue on.
Gotcha. And then, so this is, part of our Inscape platform, one of the utilities that we provide to clients. Again, this is something that I think we developed right around the COVID coming on. A lot of our clients had to quickly adopt Teams and really embrace this. So a lot of folks were, telling us that they were experiencing sprawl, and from a Teams perspective. And then when the dust kind of settled, it was like, okay, well, now I need to know, what's going on in my Teams environment, right? Because we got 1,000 teams. I don't know if they're active, inactive, what folks are doing in those teams. So this is why we built the Team Captain dashboard as a complementary solution to the workflow, which is basically going to curate in a very easy to consume dashboard here of our teams. So this will show us how many teams that we own or have in place, I should say, how many are active versus inactive. And again, this is totally customizable. So we leveraged a 30-day premise here for what is active versus inactive, but you can make it 15 days, 60 days, 90 days, etc. So this, you can drill into any of these tabs. So if we look here, I mean, this is our pre-acquisition organization here. So that's why you see so many active versus inactive. But you could drill into these and say, what are all these inactive teams, right? So are these ones that we want to delete? You also have an option to click a single button in Inkscape, in Team Captain, I should say, that to archive a team. So we want to keep the data, but we want to get the team off the books. Or because we do have this integrated with your Active Directory, you can go into inactive teams. Let's say Mike Doyle, the finance director, he left the organization. You could go into the teams that he was an owner of, hover over his name, and leveraging Active Directory to show you, who they report to and or peers on their team. So you can reassign the team, again, delete the team, archive the team, etc. So, it takes a lot of the onus off of IT and puts it on the folks that are actually managing these teams. There's some other data in here. One that's very popular with clients is the external sharing. So we can go in here. This shows 0, but let's say there was 5. You could click in and see, okay, out of the 310 teams we have, 5 of them are externally sharing outside of the organization, and you can actually see, what they're sharing and who they're sharing with, right? So a really good tool, from a security governance perspective.
And you can even turn it off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you can turn it off right there.
Yep, there's an ability. So if you see an external share, there's a lock that you can actually click, and that'll break the chain. So if somebody came back into a team, 30, 45 days later, trying to access anything, you can actually break the link to that, to whatever's being shared. This will show you your internal users versus guests. Now I know that, this looks odd. Why do you have more guests than internal? As a systems integrator that works with a lot of clients from a professional services perspective, we created teams that we invite our clients into so we can collaborate, share documentation. So, that's an indication of who from outside the company is in the system. And you can actually, drill into that as well and see who they are. Orphaned accounts, or orphan teams, I should say, that's a team that's still active, but there's not, the owner of the team is not still there, right? So again, that's an opportunity. If there's things happening in a team, we obviously, want someone to be managing that team. So again, that's a way that, again, with our tie into Active Directory, that you could reassign that team to that individual's boss, a colleague that's in a similar department, et cetera. So Kevin, am I over the time here? I apologize.
Yeah, we are. We're just a couple minutes over here, but Mike, you did a great job. And like Mike said, this is part of the Inscape platform. So you can actually go in and look at Teams Captain right now. I know that you guys are CSPs with us. So inside of your Inscape platform, just go in, take a look at Team Captain. Productivity Insights is another product that a lot of people use. Those are great tools for you to see how people are consuming Teams and things like that. Melissa, you got a question?
Yes, guys, before we wrap up here, because I know we're up on time, we did have 2 questions just come in. The first question is, will we be sharing the Power Automate settings or template for auto approval and team creation, was the first question.
Yeah, that's a professional services offering. That actually costs $3,500, one-time charge, which includes customization and includes training on how to use it. So we'd be more than happy, if you're interested in it, to talk to you about it. It's pretty easy to set up once you have the template, and we can show you how to do it. It takes, with customization and everything, it takes us a few hours to get it so it works perfect for you. We have pretty much a generic template that we start with and then customize it for you.
Thank you, Kevin. And the second part to the question is there an option or plan to have export option to Excel from Team Captain or Teams Orphan ones, for example, for all pages together?
Okay, man, I don't think I understand. So you're looking for an export of all the channels in a team, or I'm not exactly sure what you're looking for, but if you want to hit me with an email personally, or we can get on the call after this. I'm not sure what you're looking for, but we're always improving things. And if you give us a suggestion that makes it better for everyone, we'll do it.
All right, thank you, Kevin. I think that answers both of his questions.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks again for your time this week. I know that we're a little bit over time, but if you have any questions, again, reach out to either Melissa, Alex, myself. your serious account manager, and we'll be more than happy to help you with anything you need when it comes to Office 365. Thanks. Have a great day, everyone.